Good afternoon, good evening, good night, and again, welcome to another episode of GZ Sports. Your host, Jackson Bryan. As per usual, we were actually not planning to do a show today, but I thought I came in with a quick, a quick little episode for you guys because I know you guys are always here. Thanks again for the support. No, I want to just acknowledge that we couldn't get any guests on or anything. As I said, with the match and everything, it would have been really difficult to have a show afterwards. There are socials there. Again, thank you for the support. And it's been a lot of rain in the country. There has been a lot of rain in Jamaica for the past few days. Um, the match Jamaica against Canada initially had to be called off. It was supposed to be on Friday night. Yeah, that didn't happen. It was rained out. It was pushed back for about 3 hours until they finally said, you know what, we'll have the match tomorrow on Saturday. And let's be honest, it was a better idea. Um, yeah, sorry, Google that, but it was a better idea. The team, the scene, the fans, they were all there. It would have been better than to have a rainy night in Kingston when up next to no fans could have actually made it to the game. So that's been our time so far. And how about we just go straight into it and start with the Nations League clash against Canada. This is basically this entire episode is basically going to be a match reaction, basically. Um, so Jamaica, we do lose 2 goals to 1 um, to Canada at the Office National Stadium, whatever you want to call it. Um, that was yesterday. Game started, I think, around 10:30. Um, being there in person, I want to say being there in person was very exciting for me. It's actually my first game to watch Jamaica, the Reggae Boys, that is. I've been to schoolboy football, I've been to other matches and such, but I've never actually been to a Reggae Boys game. Now, I know there would have been some level of toxicity in terms of the fans and everything. It was a good vibe there, let's just put it to that. But yeah, we need to get into this right away, and we need to be talking about the performance. And people will not like to hear what I'm saying, but the performance on the day was actually very good. We did boss Canada around. We did push them around. It was never their game. It was never fully our game. In the first half, there were times we have lapses in judgment, i.e., the goal, and a few times when Jonathan and David did break through. But throughout the match, it was us in diligent control. The Reggae Boys, they did do particularly well. I didn't expect them to perform at this level against the Canadian opposition that has just come from the World Cup. They have Alfonso Davies, a Champions League winner. They have Kone and Buchanan in the midfield. It was never something to look at and say, damn, we are going to have this game. And it's an unlucky 2-1 defeat. Um, two lapses in judgment because down our left hand side, it's our weak side. On the game yesterday, it was Leon Bailey and Greg Lee occupying that left hand side. We know that if everyone's fully fit, it's Damari Gray and it's Amari Bell. Now, Bell, I see he is in training. Bell looks like he's close to returning to the team. Maybe he won't be there for Tuesday, definitely. Gray, we're a bit more hopeful. Mikel Antonio, he came off injured yesterday. It's a muscle injury. Manager doesn't really expect him to be there, but we can wait and see. Some muscle injuries are just a little tightness, a little cramp, and you can move on from that. Um, but yeah, no, we have to actually talk about what this result does mean. It means we have a second leg to go into Toronto to try and overcome so we can qualify for the Copa America. Now, basically, I think how it goes is the winner does go through, yes, but into this is the quarterfinal stage, and into the semifinal stage, um, that's when it gets interesting because I think all four do have a chance to go through. I think the top two win their semifinals, they're automatically in, and I think there'll be a third place. So either way, you have two chances to make it to Copa America. I I'd love for Jamaica to be in that tournament because there are players that we have and people think that they're really good. I mean, bring them up against the Brazil squad and Argentina, Chile, and Ecuador squad at the moment. I mean, yes, they have Moises Caicedo, who lots of people do know, but they don't know about Kendry Paez. And Kendry Paez will absolutely tear this team apart. I mean, with Brazil, you've got Hendrick, Laurent, Marcos Leonardo, all those enticing superstars, Luis Guilherme, Angelo Gabriel, those players who can really cause trouble, and the young players. So it would be very good for their development. So I think it would be good for us. It would be good for them. It's good for everyone. I mean, with Canada going, it's still good. I mean, Angelo versus Alfonso Davies, that'll be fun to watch. But into the match, um, it was the first time in 35 years that Canada actually beat us on our home turf. That's that is something I didn't know we had such a record of 35 years. I mean, I don't know how the match has been like this. You know, it's been promoted and everything, but no one seemed to mention that. Hey, by the way, that Canada have not beaten Jamaica in 35 years at the office. I don't get how people have neglected to mention that part, but we have actually ended that streak, funnily enough. Um, but yeah, it's a hard streak to keep when you go unbeaten against a certain team for that long. Canada, we've obviously seen that they have improved over the years. They have gotten better. As I said, Davies, Kone, Buchanan, Johnston, David, all those players. Kamal Miller in the back line. I can't believe he's still going. I think he's probably 67. Um, but we have to try and look at even positives from this game. You know, we have to try and look at positives before we do go into the negatives right now. And the positives from this game was we actually did possess the ball very well on the left hand side. The right hand side definitely needs work, but on the left we did very well. Dexter Lembakisa kept Alfonso Davies at bay for majority of the game, which was very surprising to see. I thought he was going to just tear us apart. Um, the defense looked good. I mean, Ethan Pinnock, I don't know where he's gotten that extra pace from, but he needs to keep it. Blake, he was good. Nothing he could do on both goals. And Nicholson shows that he's a poacher. One shot, one chance, one goal. The negatives, I could start. The negatives would be Leon Bailey. The negatives would be Greg Lee. The negatives would be, the negatives would be the substitutions that were made. I didn't get that. And that's where we get into this other conversation of is it time is this really the manager to carry us forward? I mean, he's only won one game in Jamaica and he's been in charge for how long? Um, I don't think it's time to be on the manager's back at this point in time. I really don't think so. But I do think that it's time to ask some questions of him. It is really time to see what his philosophy is because of all the time they've been playing. I still have no idea what the philosophy of the team should be. Is it wing play and getting crosses into the box? At that point, your best team doesn't do that because Demari is very direct and Leon is playing as a number 9, which he can't do, and he's dropping deep. Or is it to play more of a gegenpressing style of how Jurgen Klopp or Thomas Tuchel used to do at their teams? Because yesterday the press was actually good in the first half, first 20-25 minutes. I don't know what the philosophy is to be with this team. And I think that's where we do get into these conversations of can Hallgrimson lead the team? Is there even someone else there? I mean, I saw Marcel Gale yesterday, and I was like, I mean, maybe the job is big for him, but he would be an okay. What would I say? Would he be an okay interim if anything does go wrong with Halgrimson. I mean, during the game, we could see what was happening, but all the chances were falling to Leon. We were creating chances, but they were falling to the wrong player. And I hate when people say, "Oh, he's not a goal scorer; he's a winger. He provides assists." I mean, he has the most goals as a winger in the Premier League this season. That's more than Rashford, Doku, Son, Kulusevski, Grealish. I mean, apart from Salah. So, I mean, do you even count Salah as a winger anymore? Salah is literally always in the box up front. It doesn't make sense. But yeah, back to reality. There are things that should be, apart from reworked with the system, things have to change. Like one, Joe Latibodier cannot be starting in the midfield. I mean, this is a guy who's played right back and centre half for Coventry City and Swansea last season, but doesn't know how to fall close to the back four and take the ball off it and pass it out. I mean, yesterday I was watching the game and I was like, Johnson literally has to go back and take the ball off the back four. He has to come into midfield and try and control the tempo there. And then he has to go and try and link the attackers. He's doing three people's job at once because the guy beside him is inept to all three of those roles. That's another flaw in Halgrimson. Why is Latibodier playing in the midfield when you have John Russell, Karoy, Anderson, and players like that? I mean, people are saying McGee. I was like, McGee can't play in a system like this. He doesn't have the defensive discipline. It wouldn't work. And I was so upset. I mean, and it wasn't just me. I mean, I was sitting there and everybody shouted the same thing. Get 15 off the field. It doesn't work. And I even looked up, I even tried to find some stats on him. Luckily, I could have via SofaScore. And for the whole match, and I made sure to compare him with his midfield partner, right? Latibodier, for 90 minutes, had 30 touches in the entire game in midfield. Remember, we had 49% possession during that game. We had 58% in the second half. Johnson, his midfield partner, had 59. That's basically twice as much touches. In terms of pass accuracy, basically you don't give him the ball. He had a 67% passing accuracy, 21 attempted and 14 completed. With Johnson, he had 83% pass accuracy, 39 out of 48 completed. And basically, he gets the ball, he passes it. I don't know what Joel's doing. He didn't complete a long pass yesterday, anything. His defensive attributes, he made one block, but he was mainly clearing the ball. And I think that was more Coventry. That was more Coventry City, Latibodier, than anything else. Because they always sit on the back foot and wait for countering, wait for breaks. Johnson, yesterday I looked at the team and I said, you couldn't tell me that midfield was championship if I didn't know Latibodier. I would think it's worse. Because Johnson looks like he plays in a Premier League team that's about to get relegated, but he's the guy trying to beat them up, while Latibodier plays like just another day. And it's awful to see. So that's one thing I know that has to change. That's one thing I know that would have to change with the team come Tuesday. Latibodier can't start. I mean, before the pandemic, there was John Russell, who played for Blackpool, who was the most progressive passer in the championship for those 2 seasons, and he got that big injury, COVID, everything, whatever. Why shouldn't he get a chance? He's about 6'4" in the midfield, good aerial presence, good physical presence. I mean, couldn't he do that? Especially since we're only looking for a 6 that could play alongside Daniel Johnson. It's as simple as that. I don't get why we're still persisting with Latibodier in the midfield. I don't get the issue. I don't get why. Like, if his best position is centre back, he can't play. It's as simple as that. He would be 5th or 6th choice. So is that why he plays in midfield? Because the coach wants him to play? I don't get it. Neil. Issue with the subs. Listen, I don't get the substitutes. I didn't get the subs at all. I mean, you put on Trevante Stewart, who started really poorly. Let's be honest. I mean, the first chance he got, misplaced the pass. Then he was running through on a horrible angle and tried to shoot, volley it in like his name was Van Persie, and put that into freaking Edwin Allen's side. Um, but then over time he grew into the game. He and Nicholson developed a more a better partnership up front. Let's say that, right? I'm not saying Antonio didn't have a good partnership. I'm saying based on that, it wasn't as good, but it was much better. Now, when I saw Demario Phillips getting ready, I was like, what's he gonna do? Take Bobby Reed off and put Phillips on the wing? Like every time he brings Phillips into the team, he plays him on the wing, but he takes off the substitutes to it, which made no sense at the time because Nicholson, albeit he's got height on him, he was never the target man in that game. It was either Antonio or Stewart. It was never Shamar, and Shamar always tried to run in behind, like playing off the striker. Then you put Shamar in a horrible position. I mean, even for Clermont Foot in Ligue 1, that's how Shamar plays. He doesn't play as a target man. Then, I mean, Lembakis has been doing a great job against Alphonso Davies, and you put on Javane Brown, and I just think Javane Brown shouldn't even be in the national setup. I mean, there's Tavon Gray has literally come into this squad now. There's no need for Javane Brown. Like, subbing in Javane Brown is like you have Vinicius on the wing, but you say, you know what? He's been tearing the fullback apart. I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to sub on Mark Albright. It makes no sense, and the depth in class is just too wide for taking that chance. I mean, they were lucky it was that late in the game where Fonzie looks like his legs were gone and Canada were playing on the other flank, luckily enough. But we can't do that. You know, maybe Dexter has an injury, we don't know. But you can't go with that. You can't do that. I mean, it's going to be difficult for us. And listen, for Tuesday, I wouldn't change the lineup bar Latiba there. I would actually put John Russell in there just to get physicality. I mean, yeah, Johnson was there. Johnson was taking on 2-3 men at a time. And there was no help. You know, even when he got through 2-3 men, there was another black shirt. And Latiba there was just behind, I think it was behind K, just standing, calling for the ball. Like, I don't know, man. But taking him out, putting in John Russell, look, we've shown we can create chances and get an early start. If we can get an early start on Tuesday, then we'll be in a good position. The defense, it looks okay. I mean, there are real big question marks over Greg Lee at this point in time. I mean, he's a League One fullback up against players like Junior Hoylett and Isaiah Buchanan. It's going to be difficult, but he's doing a job that we kind of need him to do because Amari Bell is still injured. But listen, I've never felt that Jamaica could have won a game more than yesterday, and they threw it away. We threw it away. It's simple as that. It wasn't even that close a game in terms of. I mean, sometimes stats do lie because Canada had much more shots, but Canada's shots were not really that much on target. I mean, it shows that Blake made 5 saves, but they were mainly shots from 20 yards out, rolling into his palm. You know, there was, I think, 1 or 2 from inside the box, but apart from that, it was nothing. But, man, I can't... Look, on Tuesday, we need to do 3 things. 1, we need to control the midfield from the off. We need to boss them in their own territory because I think I was speaking to a Canadian friend yesterday after the match, and he's saying it's going to be freaking cold on Tuesday. So we're going to have to get stuck in from the start because if we're going to use any local players or any players that are new to the setup, it's not going to work. I mean, this lineup that we started with, yes, it could be used if Antonio is fit because, you know, they played in England, majority of them, and they're used to this type of weather. But if someone else has to come in like a Trevante Stewart or a Demario Phillips, then you're going to have to get straight stuck into this game from the start. That's 1. 2, we're going to have to score that early goal. We've shown that we can create chances. We just need to put them away. Simple as that. And three, we just need to stay firm defensively. I mean, Pinnock did a fantastic job yesterday. Deshaun Bernard, he was a bit hit and miss in terms of his passing stats, but I don't think he lost an aerial duel albeit yesterday, which is really good because they were putting a lot of crosses. They were aiming high for some reason. I think they don't, I think they forgot Jonathan David is just 5'10", but they were putting a lot of crosses in there as well. So get that out of the way, then we will be in a very, very good position come Tuesday for the Copa America. Listen, I'd love to make it into Copa. I mean, last time we were there, it was shocking. But we need to get back in there. We need to punch our punch in a heavier weight class now. If we want to ever challenge the Canadas, the Costa Ricas, the Panamas, the Mexicos, the Americas, we're gonna have to be able to go into Copa and not get trounced by every team we do meet. Right? We can't really have that going on at this point in time. We can't have that going on any further. I mean, look at the team we do have. We have Premier League players in Leon Bailey, Mikel Antonio, and Bobby Decordova-Reid. Former Premier League player in Damari Gray. We still know he's the best player we do have on the squad. We have a lot of championship players. We have, as I said, Greg Lee from League One and MLS goalkeeper of the year for how many years now? I can't remember. Andre Blake. So we do have a squad, and they've been together for a while. So I don't know what the continuity problem is. But I think they need to make that step now. They need to show that they can beat teams like Canada, like Panama. Look, I know we can't beat a full strength America team. I mean, when we drew them in the Gold Cup, people were like, "Oh, we're on the right track," and I was like, they had Jesus Ferreira up front. That wasn't Tim Weah. That wasn't Flo Balogun. It's a weakened team, and we took advantage. There's still a long way to go, but we need to start laying the foundation here, beating Canada, gaining confidence, and then we'll start working better on that system that I still can't seem to see. But yeah, I said it would be quick. Gonna take quick one quick break, and then we'll be back with a small segment. Sav's not here, so I'll take over the slaughterhouse for just today, just a few topics, and then we'll call it an evening because I'm gonna go and watch the NFL. Right, and thanks for staying with us again. Right, as I said, I'm taking over Sav's spot. It was a small segment anyway. Just want to get into about 3, 4, 5, maybe 12 topics. I don't know. I can't count. But yeah, more injuries in football, right? And I don't think we can keep talking about it any much more and saying, hey, this can't keep happening. But I mean, Real Madrid have sacked the club doctor. That's how bad this has become. I mean, this guy's been in charge since Cristiano was there. So this guy, he knows what he's doing. But Camavinga's out until the new year. Vinicius is out for the next 2 months. Bellingham is injured. Valverde had a knock, but he's fine. Chouamini is out. I think they said he would be out for 8 weeks at a time. And now reports are coming out in Europe that they're going with the new Champions League format. There are going to be more games. Obviously, we know that. But we're looking at between 65 and 75 games, including international breaks for players. I mean, I remember at the start of the season, Rafael Varane came out and said, we can't be playing this much games. He's been saying it for a while. I remember Gerard Piqué said they just want machines to play because the amount of games they're putting, humans can't play this amount of games and play at the same quality. Like, look at Man United last season. I can use them as a perfect example as I do follow the club. They played the most games of any English team, right? And we know City won the treble. City didn't go far in the Carabao. That's where the extra games come from, and the Europa League. United played 62 games. The core of that squad is all injured. Everyone who played the 62 games, barring Rashad and Bruno Fernandes, are injured. Casemiro's out, Varane is injury prone and not in the team, Martinez is out, Shaw is out, Malacia is out, Wan-Bissaka has gone injured even though he played at the back end of the season. I don't know what the UEFA is doing with European football, but it's not really helping. I mean, I know we said, yo, we want to see more football, we'd like to see more football, but we want to see football at the highest level, the highest quality. We don't just want to see players playing because we're gonna then see decreased levels. And I mean, we're not gonna see the way the Premier League used to be. We're not gonna see how the Champions League used to be. But I don't know if you've ever watched, for example, the Dutch league between whether it's a final, the Ajax or an RZ, and they're coming off a cup game, how low the level has just declined. It's not a good look, right? I don't know if you've ever even watched a League Two game. It's not a good look when they're in the thick of the season and they're stuck between mid-table and promotion. It's not a good look of how the quality is. It's just blood, guts, and thunder at that point in time. It's not a good look. So, look, it's like the players are powerless. Whatever UEFA says goes, and that's how it is going to be, unless somebody can step in and do something about it. But we can't have a 75 game season. We can't have a 65 game season. I mean, 62 was the most games that United played. United played the most in England. They were 3 games off the final of the Europa League, which would have been 65, excluding the World Cup that nearly all of their players went to. I mean, Martinez went; he didn't play much, but he did go. Varane played nearly every game. Casemiro the same. So we can't have that many games for these players. I mean, it won't be beneficial to them or us because we won't be enjoying the quality we see. You know, and internationals. I mean, France beat Gibraltar 14-0 yesterday. I don't know who learned anything from that because I mean maybe Mbappe learned he could score goals from 50 yards. Maybe that's all that was learned yesterday. Speaking of internationals, I mean a certain Norwegian football player. I don't like bringing him up, especially when I'm here alone because I love to banter Erling Haaland. He neglected to go to the or play the Scotland game yesterday. They say he had a minor injury, but he will be fit for the game against Liverpool. Um, this game was make or break. This game was you're in the Euros or you're not. I'm sorry, but I've seen players fight through injury because of this, because of seeing things like this. They know that their country is going to depend on them for this, and he just didn't go. Now, I mean, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, he carried Sweden for how many years? You know, Cristiano Ronaldo had a poor Portugal team that he was using for all these years until now it looks good, but he's at the back end of his career. I mean, look at Wales. Gareth Bale brought them to a World Cup. You can't be saying, "Oh, I'm injured for this game, but I'll be fit 6 days after." I don't think that's how an ankle injury works, anyway, right? And people are going after Martin Odegaard as well. I'm saying, listen, the passes can be excellent, but if you can't finish, it doesn't make sense. And Haaland's put his country in a right bad position here. And this is why I've always said that I don't think Erling Haaland will ever get a chance to win the Ballon d'Or. Because look, he can score 60 goals in a season and win the Premier League. But if Vinicius has 40, 45 or 50 goal contributions and lifts the Copa America and the Champions League, he's winning the Ballon d'Or. They would say Erling did nothing apart from score goals, which is all he does. And that's why I think he will never get a chance to win it. I mean, he shouldn't have won it this year, and he won't get another chance. I mean, with Kylian Mbappe, Vinicius, even his teammate Julian Alvarez, he won't have a chance to win it, right? Um, I don't really want to dwell much on Norway because it's not really a country that is anything. I just want to say that, when your country needed you most, you weren't there. And we can take a cheeky dig at him saying, Scott McTominay carried Scotland on his back. He scored the most goals for them, and they're in the Euros. What's he done? What's Haaland done? Who is Haaland in this game? I mean, Scott McTominay is clearly the better striker. Put him up front. Let's put him up front instead. Um, and then just into a couple stories of transfers. Okay. Just a couple stories upon transfers. Gonçalo Ignacio, centre back for Sporting Lisbon. I think he's 23 years old at this point in time, left footed. He does have a release clause of around £52 million or 65 million euros. There were talks between his agency, which is led by Jorge Mendes, and Real Madrid. These were months back. However, there's nothing that is being developed as of yet. Reports from Portugal saying Liverpool, Newcastle, Manchester United, they've all made contact. They are all willing to pay the release clause of Ignacio in January. However, with Liverpool, they're willing to pay everything at once. Newcastle, the same. United willing to do a payment plan of some sort because of their financial insecurities at this point in time. What can I say about Ignacio? For a clean description for those who just are in the Premier League and know those players, Ignacio he's Gabriel, but he's much more composed on the ball, much less antics. So you could say he's a left-footed Saliba. And I think they're about the same height, right? He would be a great signing for any club that does pick him up. And at this point in time, I mean, look, the Premier League has to stick together. We can't let Real Madrid get this guy. Come on, we can't. Look, we've let them got Eder Militao. We've let them go ahead and got Vinicius on the road, and they got Rodrigo. We can't let them go ahead and get another Portuguese speaker. Like seriously, we've got to at least stick together on this one, right? Whichever one, Liverpool, Newcastle, Man United. If anybody else wants to throw their hand in the ring, maybe Villa, because they have a love affair with centre backs. If anybody else wants to get into that, we can't let Real Madrid get another talented young centre back that speaks Portuguese. Like, this has been going on for more than a decade now. Like seriously. But look, Inacio, I don't think he does actually move in January. Listen, if Sporting don't get all that money up front in January, they'll just sell him in the summer. It makes more sense to them financially anyway. So, yeah. Talented player, but at the price, how much did Newcastle spend on Botman? It's about 45 million. I think the price, maybe it's a bit much, but he's 23, so based on age and potential, you could say, that's a good, decent price, but, prices are inflated anyway. I mean, people spent 100 million on Darwin Nunez. And to the final, just a final topic for now. It's a short show, as I keep saying. Sound like a broken record. Ousmane Diomande, I think he's from the Ivory Coast. He also plays for Sporting. He's, I think, 19 years old at this time. And the heavy favorites for him are actually Newcastle United. Newcastle do have injury problems. Burn is out. Botman, they literally don't have a left side for defense, basically. Target's injured. They don't have a left flank. Right now, it's Lascelles and Cher until somebody gets injured. They'll have to go to Emil. They don't have to. They've already used Emil Kraft at centre back, and they can't do that. They need centre backs. They need a striker. Diamande is on the list. Now, what can I say about Ousmane Diamande? I'm actually in a Twitter group, and there's this one guy who, no matter what day it is, every day he's sending Diamande clips. He's sending that, this team needs to get him. This team needs to get him. He's world-class player at 19. Needs to get him. This, that. Right? I know Diamande fans. Have I seen him in person? No, not really. So I can't speak on the player's ability. The asking price has been 70 million euros. So that is his release clause. As you know, with Portuguese teams, they just put heavy release clauses and say you pay it or they stay. And 9 times out of 10, clubs tend to pay. Um, would it be a good deal? I was just saying, 50 million for a 23-year-old centre half is good based on his age. Well, add 20 million and take 4 years away. Is that a good deal? I mean, is 100 million for João Neves a good deal? I mean, I don't think any of those are good deals, really. Um, but Diamande, I mean, to Newcastle, it would be a fantastic move, seeing as they're on their way forward. They're not really looking for any short-term defenders or anything like that. They are looking forward because look, Lascelles will have to be replaced, Shea would have to be replaced, and even Big Dan Burn has to be replaced. So they are looking forward, right? He and Inacio, there are defenders they're looking at diligently. I've said this before as well. Ethan Pinnock might be a bit older than those two, but don't rule him leaving Brentford either. There is a good chance he does leave. Not for him, not because of his agents or not because of Brentford, but there are going to be teams that want him. And the money that will be produced will be hard to refuse by Brentford, especially since, Ivan Toney may not stay. But back on track, Diamande, I don't think he moves this summer. I don't think he moves in January. I think he gathers more and more traction over 2024 into 2025, and then we'll see a move from Diamande to probably Arsenal. I don't see him going to Newcastle and then making a move. I see him going directly to a Champions League runner and then, building his career from there, being the next Fabio Cannavaro probably. I mean, he height wise they're not really off, and build, he's maybe slimmer, but it's gonna be interesting. It's just November still, no transfer. We don't have to get into transfers now. When the window opens on January 1st, that's when things do kick off, and that's when we do get into the thick of it. But again, as I said, short show. Thanks guys for tuning in. Again, this has been Jackson. Um, again, didn't really plan to do a show because of the game. I'm still tired out of my mind. My head is still killing me, and I haven't had sleep because I've been up, ridiculing the players. Hopefully, I can sleep on Wednesday after the game Tuesday. But yeah, this has been GZ. We'll see you guys next week. Again, apologies for being late, and have a great evening. I'm gonna go ahead and watch some NFL. Thanks for watching.